people. And Trent Dimas joins us now. He was part of the United States Olympic team in 1992. That was the Barcelona Olympics, right?
Barcelona Games, yep.
That is really cool. On the men's gymnastics team.
That's correct. It's a great year. Barcelona, Spain is one of my favorite places. Barcelona, obviously, is just a superb place to have the Olympics there. It was probably one of the best Olympic games that I've been to. So it's just an amazing place, and it was great to win at those games.
Houston, can we bump his mic just a touch? How many times have you been back to the Olympics since participating?
Let's see. I went to Atlanta. I went to Sydney. So I've been like two or three more Olympic games.
Times. Yeah.
I went to Beijing. Trying to think what other games I went to. And
how will Paris be as a host city this summer?
It's these big cities that are hosting the Olympic Games. It's going to be super congested. It's going to be very, very hot. I think like Americans going that think like, oh, we're going to have all these, we're going to have air conditioning. If you're doing like an Airbnb or something like that, don't expect air conditioning because it just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's different. It's going to be hot. It's super expensive. To get tickets there, you're looking at 600 euros and up per ticket. So it's really tough. I can't even get tickets. I have talked to every friend I have to try to pull a ticket for.
Have you talked to Steve Azar? That guy can get stuff done.
That's true. He can do pretty much anything.
When you think about the Olympics and the amount of preparation that goes into it and everything you have to do to get to that point, and then afterwards you're on the medal stand and you're like, what is that moment like where you're just looking out in the crowd and you're like, I did it?
It's really disbelief because there are so many great athletes from around the world, and to get there, it's I just gave a graduation commencement speech, and I told the kids as I was going through this, I was like, it's more likely that you're going to fall out of bed tonight or get into a car accident or get into a plane wreck or get hit by lightning and even win the lottery than you are to win an Olympic gold medal. Because the time frame is so short and you have to do things right at that moment when it's your turn. And there's so in gymnastics, it's not like swimming or track and field. If you're the fastest guy in the world, you're going to win. In gymnastics, you could be the best guy in the world, but you're off by a millimeter and you're just off the high bar. And so it's really tough, but it is really that thing that is just disbelief that everything converged into one moment and you did your best possible job. And if you do it at that moment and end up getting a great score, well, it's for me it was a blessing.
You may tell me I'm off base on this, but I think of that era, 92 Barcelona, 96 Atlanta. If you want to go back to 88, you can, as kind of the heyday for the Olympics. And, I think maybe that was partly because I was a child then. I was 12 years old during the 92 Olympics. And so I remember being glued to it, and it was just appointment television night after night after night for 2 weeks. And the same way with the Winter Olympic Games, which would have been, I guess, in 94, and Lillehammer would have been the next one after that. And I don't feel like it's quite like that anymore. Maybe there's a story like a Michael Phelps that kind of captures the imagination. Do you feel that way at all?
I do, because I think one of the great things growing up watching the Olympic Games was that you could see sports that you never saw before, and you could turn on the television and you could watch sports all day long. Nowadays, what they do is they say, well, there's only certain people that we want to look at. We only want to do the gold medalists, people that are going to win. We want somebody that has a strong story. And so they build these exposés around certain people, but they alienate, I think, everybody else, which is, winning isn't everything, I don't believe. There are amazing stories that happen with individuals that, take second, that place last, but their stories are so amazing. I want to say that there was a swimmer in Barcelona that was from Africa, and he'd rarely been in rarely been in the pool, and he finished dead last, but people were just like, wow, this guy went out there and did something that was so amazing, and it was the heart to just finish.
Sure.
And people love those kinds of stories. But I think we miss it a little bit more these days because we're always looking at, okay, well, who's winning and what's the story behind it, rather than let's look at everything and all these sports that you've never seen before. And I miss that piece of it.
So take us through the Olympics that are coming up and what the USA is going to look like in gymnastics.
I think this is going to be a very special year. I think it's on the women's side, you've got, of course, Simone Biles, who is so far ahead of everybody else in the world. Our women's team, if they don't win, it will be a shocker.
What is the name of the triple flip twist that she does?
I'm not sure what event you're talking about, but
I guess that would be on the floor.
That's a good question. I don't think I know, but what I do know is her vaulting, for example, she's essentially doing an extra flip that everybody else in the world's not doing. I mean, she's doing the difficulty of her routines is a whole nother level. I honestly think that she could fall and mess up and still win. That's how far ahead of the world that she is. And most of the team, it's going to be such a strong team. Like, it would be disastrous if they did not win. On the men's side, we are more deep this quadrennium than we have been since 1984. Our guys are so good. I just got back from Cairo at the World Cup, and I looked at everybody that was there. The American team was not there because the Israeli-Palestine war had just begun, and the U.S. felt like we don't want to send people there. Plus, there were a couple of other World Cups in Germany that they could attend, and we had already qualified. But our guys are so good. We're so deep that, and I was in Germany and I'm watching these guys, and I was like, man, this one guy is so good on parallel bars. If he hits that routine, hits a gold medal routine. And the coaches were like, well, he may not even make the team. I'm like, what do you mean?
Wow.
I'm like, what do you mean? That routine was a gold medal routine. And they said, we've just got so many guys, and we can't just have a guy that's good on one event. We need to pick somebody that's good on like 4 events. And so if there's been a chance for us to go into a fully attended Olympics where we as a men's team can hit our routines, we should win. Now, China is really good. Japan is very strong. I think those are the top 3 teams. England is a strong team. So it's, with the men, they're going to have to hit, and other people are going to have a couple of mistakes. But we're strong. If there's ever a chance, we could win double gold medals, men and women.
You have lived all over the world, visiting with Trent Dimas, gold medal gymnast in the 1992 Olympics in Barcelona. You lived all over the world, currently living in Poland and working in a humanitarian role. Is that right?
Yeah. So my son and I, about 4 years ago, I wanted to do something special with him. And I did the same thing with my daughter just for a year. But my son and I went and spent half the year in Spain, and then we spent half a year in Kenya, and just doing humanitarian work as missionaries. And it was just such a transformational time for my son. My wife, when I got back, my wife's like, we got to continue doing this. And so we've kind of just dedicated ourselves to, we kind of like sold everything and drained our bank accounts and said, okay, this is what we're going to do. And this was an exercise about giving back to people. And I'm a Christian, so I thought, a lot of people say they're Christians, but I want to exemplify what that means through service. And I want to help one person. I can't change the world, but if I can impact a few people here and there, that's what I want to do. And at the same time, I wanted to show my son that I loved him, and this is how you have to love other people. And it's been transformational for us. We're currently in Krakow, Poland, working with Ukrainian refugees, and I'm doing everything from simply just making sandwiches for people to packing food, doing clothing drives, helping people get situated in new apartments because there's a huge influx. And I know that currently everyone's like kind of forgotten about Ukraine, but the war is actually increased. And I think what's going on right now, at least as I understand it, is Putin doesn't know who's going to be the next president. And so whatever he's going to be doing, it's going to be a hard push until the election, or at least until that time, because whatever land and whatever he can take over before the election is going to be something that he's going to be able to hold on to. So we're seeing a lot more stuff, and there's so much bombing going on. There's people that are, and it's hard to see these young kids that we do a lot of these art and healing programs where the kids are fine, But you look at the parents, you look at the mothers that are there, because anybody that's above 18, who's male, 18 to like 65, they are conscripted into the war. So
Sure.
you look at the mothers, and you see a lot of pain in their face, and that's hard. So
Yeah.
we try to make it as best we can for the kids.